And we are back with another episode of a podcast, of course. Today's guest is Ops Soldier. Ops Soldier is a TikToker and content creator. We had a great conversation talking about Mortal Kombat 11 and just being a good old NRS fan. Enjoy. Ops Soldier, thank you so much for joining me today. We are indeed live. I appreciate you joining me today for the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just freaking out about like how I'm gonna do this grind thing while being a content creator, but because I want to grind for Evo.
Yeah. Are you actually signed up for Evo?
Not yet.
Yeah.
But I plan to be.
Dude, that's sick.
Probably pretty soon.
I had to choose between like Evo and Combo Breaker kinda, and I went with Combo Breaker because one, it's closer, it's less money. And I don't know all the games at Evo this year. I don't know if I wanted to really compete in any of those. The only one that really caught my eye was maybe Tekken 7 and Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and I don't know if I wanted to grind those games. So I may just have to hope that NRS gives me a new game this year, and then I'll start grinding that one.
There you go.
But the question I ask everyone whenever I start this thing is, how did you get to TikTok? And what's your experience on TikTok so far?
So the first big thing was my friend actually recommended it to me because we as people, not just like players, but we wanted to grow successful in our future endeavors, I guess. He went kind of the more financial route. I went the more content creator route. I just wanted to figure out what was the best way to reach a lot of people with the content that I had and provide some sort of value. But it actually didn't even start off like that. I don't think it started off with the value thing. It was more like, how many followers can I gain? You know, like the typical thing. Oops, sorry. Let me turn this down.
Oh, no, I'm doing that so I can hear what's going on outside of where I have a different sound happening inside my house. I want to make sure if I hear it, I can go stop it if something bad happens. Go ahead. Continue. Sorry.
But yeah, it was like the typical, oh, you know, how many followers can I gain, blah, 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 like all that type of stuff. And my friend was telling me how TikTok was blowing up and like that was the best way to reach people as quickly as possible and get a lot of followers with a small amount of time. So I actually started TikTok with the intention of, oh, you know, I'm going to, you know, get these followers, blah, blah, blah. And that was after like I wasn't doing well on Twitch. It had been months. Like I just wasn't, like, Twitch is just so... For content creators, like if there's any advice I could give to content creators, you need to start a YouTube channel or Twitch or TikTok. Yeah. Because if you just grind Twitch, you're literally, like, in my personal opinion, I feel like you're just wasting time because you can't really reach that many people. Twitch doesn't push your content out to other people in the algorithm unless they're already in that particular niche. And with YouTube and TikTok, you also have videos that if you make them correctly, they will be literally your legacy. Like they will be something when you post a video, that video is going to be there forever. People are going to remember you through that video. You're always going to have replay value. You're always going to have a lot of value in that content. Compared to Twitch is a little bit harder to do that. They have VODs, but it's much harder. It's more live, it's more present kind of content. So that's why I wanted to do TikTok originally. And it didn't work out actually at first. I did not do very well with TikTok. I wasn't gaining that many followers. It wasn't until I tried, well, there were two things I did. First thing, I signed up for a course to learn how to be better at making good content. Like just making good quality content and getting people to be interested and follow the content. And then I tried doing another, basically I tried another kind of idea and it was kind of semi-successful and it gave me the blueprint for going back to TikTok and working on content there and being successful as OPS Soldier. And sure enough, I can't tell you, like it was like literally within a week, like I was gaining, like I was already past 1,000 followers within a week because just the foundation of being a good content creator and like knowing what people want while also being genuine. And I think one of the most important things is you need to ask yourself, why are you doing this? And for me, for a while, like for the longest time, like I didn't really know. And then it wasn't until like, people were asking me questions like, how do you play this? How do you hit confirm? Like, how do you do, these things in fighting games? And then it hit me. I was like, dude, I just want to get like this FGC thing is small. And the reason it's small is because the way people are taught, like, you either have to self-teach yourself or the knowledge that is usually handed out is very kind of hard. Like there's no fundamental knowledge that's usually given out. Like it's a bunch of kind of like answers. Like there's not like, okay, you need to learn how to hit confirm, you need to learn how to do your combos, you need to learn how to do this, right? It's more like, oh, these are the combos of this character, blah blah blah, these are the combos of this character. And I was like, you know what, I want to do that. I want to be someone who like teaches exactly like the beginner stuff that you need to know when you play a fighting game. And at the same time, I want to get more people into the scene. The scene is small as it is, and I think it is small because of just the sheer amount of knowledge that you have to learn, and it kind of overloads new players and makes them not want to play. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna do that. Like I'm gonna be a guy who like gives out more knowledge of characters, whether it be Mortal Kombat. Well, at first it was just Mortal Kombat, but then eventually I expanded.
Yeah.
And that's what I was like, yeah, I'm just going to teach. And then the other thing I just like doing, as a player was, I just like giving, I don't like winning off gimmicks. I know there's some players like doing that, but like if I feel like someone is winning because they don't know the matchup, I'll let them know like, hey, like you can counter this with this, because I want to play at the highest level. I don't want to play because someone doesn't know enough of information of the character. So I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm really good at doing that too. So that's how I started doing that on both TikTok and YouTube. I would, just, if I found something in the lab or something that I got countered by, I'd post it on TikTok or I'd post it on YouTube. And I think the big thing that got me like really, really kind of into TikTok was when I realized that like a lot of people wanted to learn about they wanted to learn about old players or players that they didn't know, like they kind of knew, but they didn't know very well. Like Ninja Killa and Sonic Fox. And then like they were also asking me questions about characters from MK11. And I've got like 3,000 hours in that game, so I know that game pretty well. Yeah. And so like for me, it was just like, okay, well shit, like, excuse me, I don't know.
Oh no, you can say whatever you want, dude. I don't care.
Okay. Okay. But I was like, yeah, okay. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing this. Like, I'm going to start showing players how to play, MK11. I'm going to start talking about characters from MK11. And it just kind of evolved from there, really. It was just like, oh, I'm playing Street Fighter now. And,
when did you actually start making, like, fighting game content on TikTok? Do you happen to remember when? Was it, like, a couple months ago? Was it, like, a year ago? Do you have any idea when? Because, like, I remember there was one day all of us just found you. Like me, really? Lumi, like Sharpie, like one day we just all found you, like, hey, we all shared it to each other, like, do you know this guy? And I'm like, no, and he had like 18,000 subscribers or followers. I'm like, dude, how have I missed this guy? Like, do you remember when you started? Because you just completely went over everyone's radar. I'm super happy we found you, by the way. But like, I have no, like, did it go that quickly? You said you gained like 1,000 followers in a week. Like how quick did everything like?
It didn't take long, man. Yeah. Because the thing is, like, it really does come down to, it's not about the grind. It's about the knowledge that you have and attacking the audience that really, really, really needs it. Like I don't know how to, attacking is probably not the best word, but like, it's one of those things. Like it literally is like a puzzle you have to solve. Like, and on top of that, the thing I think that gets a lot of creators, just kind of going on a really quick tangent here, is that the value comes from here. Like it comes from, like, I actually want people, like I want people to, be part of the FGC. I want people to join the FGC. I want the FGC to be open to everyone. I want everyone to play fighting games because I feel like it has the most valuable lesson that I've ever learned in my life. And that's like to check your ego, because a lot of things that I've learned is like the reason why I'm not as good as I could be is because like there's like this mindset that I might have that I need to change to get better as a player. So I just want everyone that I've ever talked to at least try them, to like at least play them and know that they exist and they have this kind of level of understanding when it comes to playing fighting games. And like, you know, whether it's, oh, it's tough, or oh, King of Fighters, I love that game, I used to play that game with my friend all the time. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I want. So as a player, like, or as a content creator, that's kind of what happened. Like, it just, you know, I was just like, okay, you know, I really value this. This is what I really want. You know, I understand how the algorithm works. I know like how watch time works. Understand, you know, the amount of the time length that I need to put in for the content. You know, I understand like, you know, if I want people to continue to follow, like I have to give them something that they would want to follow for. So for example, you know, sometimes people will do like, I think you do like the easiest fighting game or something like that, and then like you'll do like the like how you have different ones, right?
Yeah.
So that's what causes people to come back. That's what causes people to follow you. It's like you keep doing different ones, and like people are interested in what the next thing is going to be. So you've kind of figured that out when it comes to content. Like that's how you get people in and get people interested in following. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of like, those were like the things I figured out, while also wanting to provide value to those viewers and be like, oh, this guy's teaching, man, I don't understand fighting games, but this guy's teaching how to block in fighting games and how blocking is different. Wow, I've never heard of this. Oh, MK11 or Mortal Kombat has with the block button, but Street Fighter has down back. Huh. That's really cool. Like, you know, that's the kind of stuff that I wanted.
It's crazy how many people don't know that too. Like, everyone just like hold back to block is such a common thing amongst fighting games. There's people who don't know the difference between like how different really it is between like Street Fighter and like Mortal Kombat, like how vastly different the games are. Like people just think all of them are the same exact thing when they're so different. Like there are people who think like Tekken is like the same as Smash Brothers because like Kazuya got added into Smash. I'm like, they're completely different. What are you talking? It's like, it's crazy how I guess I don't want to say naive because that makes it seem like people are dumb, but like how unaware people are of how different all these games are.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like the thing, you know, because even now, like I'm still learning. Like it's Grand Blue, right? It has like the block button and down back or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still learning. So it's kind of like sometimes it's like, dude, did you know this? Like, this is actually really cool. Like, I've never seen that. You know, I never knew this before until now. And then, like, I might say, like, you know, do you know this? And then I'm like, you know what? That could be a good video idea. Like, those are just kind of like the things that kind of came up. And that, along with like learning how TikTok works fundamentally, allowed me to grow very, very quickly because I had experience with it before. So I would say, like, literally, probably what's been. I mean, I've been on TikTok for like 2 years, but I didn't really get to 18,000 in probably like, it's probably been like 6 months maybe.
Because it was like, I'm telling you, like, we were all like, who is this guy? This is awesome. We were all really happy because also something that you do that I don't think you're mentioning right now that really helps, you cosplay, which I think is awesome. Like, you cosplay the characters, and you kind of inspired me to like start putting in some effort myself. Like, actually, like, I went and bought like a purple button down to dress up as Kazuya once. Like, don't get me wrong, nothing like Kazuya. I got a full beard, but like, still, I want to start doing that because it's a really cool, like, dressing up as the characters, because a lot of these people have connections with the character but not the game, you know what I mean? So people can like, they may have never played Tekken, but they recognize like Hayachi and Yoshimitsu and King, you know what I mean? They may recognize those characters because they may have seen it in passing as a kid, but they don't know the game. But if they recognize the character, they may be more willing to sit and watch the whole video, which is just genius, especially in Mortal Kombat. Like, your reptile costume right off the bat, like, I love that costume. Like, I'm like, he's the final boss. Like, I think immediately. Exactly. So, but while we're on that topic, tell me about your fighting game history. Like, I know you're an NRS guy, but can you tell me about some of the games you've played throughout the years? Like, what are the fighting games you've played? Like, what was your first fighting game to like right now? Breezel McCheezels, thank you for the rate of 7. I appreciate that. We're talking MK11 and other fighting games. Go ahead, Ops.
I did want to quickly shout out to Cinnamon. I don't know if you've ever heard of her
Oh
before.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she actually gave me the cosplay idea. I straight up told her, I was like, yeah, your video ideas and like some of the ideas that you had, like I just wanted to bring that more to the FGC because I know she's kind of a little bit more broad, which I was trying to do, but I'm not it. Sorry guys, but Dead by Daylight just is not my thing. I thought it was, but it's just not. I decided like I'm just a fighting game. I just love fighting games more than anything else. But yeah, just kind of long story short, like I told her, I was like, yeah, you gave me a really cool idea. Like I like your videos and stuff, and she's like, oh yeah, awesome. So anyway,
Yeah,
I just figured I would share that.
Sinner and I've messaged her like once, and every now and then I'll see her liking one of my videos. But I consider her part of the FGC, but she's kind of transcended. She's a news channel in my eyes.
Yeah,
she's kind of like a news channel. I would love to do that, but there's just not enough fighting game news to make a news channel.
Yeah, I mean, I do it occasionally. I'll say like latest in fighting game news or something like that. But I'm not a huge. I don't know. Like I tried it, and I was just like, it's just not my thing, man. Like, I don't know if it's like I just like teaching or just like talking about like the philosophy and strategy of fighting games, whether it be Mortal Kombat, King of Fighters, or Street Fighter. Those tend to be my three I've noticed so far.
Solid.
Yeah. But yeah, like I don't know, like I just prefer that. I just like talking about strategy and stuff and characters. I'm more interested in that than news, but so
well, okay, so let's your games. Like what was your first fighting game as a kid?
Mortal Kombat.
It wasn't MK. Do you remember which one?
No, yeah, it was MK. So it was MK Deception or MK Unchained.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. The reason why I remember that is because MK9 was coming out and I had a PS3 and I wasn't able to get it yet, so I bought MK Unchained on PSP, and that was actually the first fighting game. I mean, outside of like Brawl, but I don't really count Brawl.
I count Smash as a fighting game. I know that will get me like eventually.
Oh no, I count.
Yeah,
I count it too.
Yeah,
100%. It's just more like. The thing about Brawl was like I was looking into kind of competitive nature, but I don't know if you would consider I was viewing it that I guess Brawl would be it would probably be Brawl, but I more like to think Unchained was like the game where I was actually like, oh, Mortal Kombat's like super cool.
Yeah.
Rio versus Perfect Legend 2012 Evo Grand Finals.
Okay.
Wow.
So like you played I'm assuming if you played Deception or Unchained, like did you enjoy like the 3D aspect of the MK games? Or do you prefer more of what NetherRealm has been doing?
So if you were to ask me now, I'd prefer 2D, but I think back then I was more like curious. Okay. So it wasn't like I like preferred one or the other. It was more like, oh, MK Deception, this is Mortal Kombat, because I saw MK9, right? Like I saw people playing MK9, but I didn't have the game. I was like, oh, MK Deception, cool. Like it's another Mortal Kombat game. I have this mindset I've noticed where like if I want to get good at a game or I want to learn a game, even if I don't have access to the game, I'll play a game of the same franchise, even if it's completely different.
Sure, yeah.
So like I did that with MK11. Like I was playing MK9 before MK11 came out, and like they're not anywhere near the same. I was literally just choosing it for the title, like playing it because of the title. So I would say like I prefer 2D at least now. Like back then it wasn't really. It was more like I was just kind of experimenting. But I've always personally preferred the 2D aspect of MK. I think I prefer most fighting games to be 2D personally, just from experience. So
I've had the most fun with 2D games recently. In the past, I would say Tekken definitely had that throne for me, but more I would say like the last 5 years, I think 2D just rules the genre.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I even think it's been beating Smash, but that's a different opinion. I'm not getting in that argument right now. So it was been mainly MK. Have you when did you start trying stuff outside of MK? So like you said, you played Unchained. You obviously played MK9 when that came out. Did you check some other ones out in the meantime, or have you been kind of like just sticking with MK all the way through?
No. I only played MK until like 2000. What is it? 20 this year. Yeah, it would be this year. Yeah, 2022, 2020. Like I understood how other games played, and I've watched them, but I've never like actually put my physical hands on them and played competitively.
Okay.
Yeah, like, and the funny thing about that is what I've come to realize is the reason why I started like moving into other fighting games is because I love fighting games.
Yep.
It's not I love MK. It's not I love Street Fighter. It's not I love King of Fighters.
Mm-hmm.
I love the concept of fighting games. That's what I love. So, and I mean, it took me a while to kind of realize that, but it wasn't until like I was like, wait a minute, I watch other games. Like, what is going on? Like, I don't play these games and I watch them. So, like, what is that about? And then I was like, oh, it's because I like the strategy, like the strategic side of fighting games. And I don't think there's any other genre that I've ever played, even when I played them competitively, that gives me the same feeling that fighting games gives me.
Yeah.
And that's why I like making content for them, personally, compared to like shooters. Because I played shooters, I played Rainbow Six Siege competitively, but like nothing captures fighting games, like in my opinion. So.
I agree completely. I feel it sucks that like fighting games gets like it's like an afterthought when it comes to like competitive or especially in esports. I made a video a while back about this. It's just we're always kind of like oh yeah, the fighting game people, yeah, whatever. We don't get the same respect as League or Dota or COD, Overwatch. We don't get the same respect as them, and I hope down the road that will change. Like because like I'm sure you've sat down and watched like old matches of like certain like Evos or like a Battle at the Bay or really old matches that just get you hyped, and they happened 20 years ago. Right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'll watch the same clip of Justin Wong beating Yipes with his Cyclops comeback, and I'll get hyped every single time I watch that clip because there's no reason he should have won that. There's no reason, and I get super hyped over it. And I wasn't there. I'm watching a random like horrible quality YouTube clip, and I just it's so exciting. And I don't feel the same excitement when I watch other games. Like I don't see it in League. I don't see it in shooters. And I feel like just I'm with you in the aspect. I want more people to put their eyes on the FGC because there's a lot of awesome stuff here.
Yeah,
and like
100%.
No one gets hyper than the fighting game community. Because like all we need to do go watch any like big streamer when like a character gets added into a game. Like
oh yeah,
like let's ask this: what is your favorite DLC drop that you've ever seen, or character announcement that's getting released for you? I got a few of them, but like I'm thinking of two just from NetherRealm or MK11.
I'm thinking probably because I did drop out of the FGC for a little bit when I was working on like in real life stuff.
Sure.
I think it was Ultimate. I think I was pretty hyped for Ultimate, especially with like the reveal that we were gonna have custom variations. Mm-hmm. So I was like super hype about that. Yeah. But I don't know if that was like my man. It's been a minute. I feel like it was something else.
I was very hyped when they announced Spawn, because I've been wanting Spawn in a fighting game since he was in Soul Calibur 2 back when I was a kid. So like him being added was huge to me. I thought Melina coming back was pretty awesome. Like that was pretty dope from MK. When they announced Hellboy in Injustice 2, I lost my mind when. Like, I wasn't a streamer then, or, like, a big content creator back when Injustice 2 came out. But, like, my reaction sitting there up all night watching that horrible gameplay for, the next announcement, I lost my mind. I was so happy. I was, like, screaming. I was messaging friends. They're like, shut up, Phil. No one cares. Like, fighting game, we just get so hype. We're all about the hype.
It's good stuff. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I mean, we saw that with I saw that with CEO, like with the two Nightwolves and CEO. That shit was whack as hell. Like Nightwolf in top 8. Like what is going on? Like their characters like bottom tier. Yeah. But we saw them because like the two brothers got in, so they were able to kind of play each other in the mirror because I guess they had like a gentleman's wager or something. I don't know.
See, that kind of stuff is, those are stories, like real stories. Like there's like everyone likes to compare FGC to kind of like almost like WWE entertainment, like where there's almost like actual like legit rivalries in the community and stuff. So when it shows up in bracket, it's so exciting. Like I love when that stuff happens, and I like maybe that's like something we need. We need someone to become like the Vince McMahon of the FGC and to start telling the stories. That'd be super dope if they did that.
Yeah, and the rival is something I like too. Something I always like about the FGC is that the beef is always solved in game, so there's no actual physical harm. I've always liked that about the FGC, just kind of growing. Well, I grew up in a nice nice society area, but I would still argue that like I just think that that's a better way to handle beef than some of the alternative.
100%, yeah.
So like, because it's just solved in game. Like it's like, oh, this guy doesn't like this guy. All right, first to 10, $100 money match. Yeah. Like I'll never forget the money match between Perfect Legend and Sonic Fox and MKX. You remember that, the 13-0 one? Yeah. I'll never forget that. Sorry, Perfect Legend, you're amazing. I still think you're a good player. We're just talking about the match, but yeah.
Sonic is just a different type of player. So like,
100%.
They're just insane. I've watched every documentary they're in, and like impressive. Like that is the skill level that I aspire to get to. I am never gonna get even close to it, but like. The fact they're just like the god of Dragon Ball Fighters, Mortal Kombat, Injustice, Skullgirls. The list just keeps going on. Like I don't understand how they do it. I don't get it. Like props, but it's insane.
Like, the good thing is like I actually didn't even. It's kind of weird because I was watching MK9 when I was younger. And I remember seeing I keep saying Rio, Perfect Legend, Tom Brady, like all those OGs, Crazy Dominican Jr., Detroit Ballin,
was Honeybee
DJT.
Playing MK9 yet? I think he started with, and he was more of an Injustice guy.
Yeah, I think he started with, I want to say MKX, and then Injustice 2.
Yeah.
But like I remember seeing all those players, and I didn't see Sonic yet. Sonic, I think, came around Injustice. So that was after MK9, which is surprising because that was the only NRS game that I did not pay attention to. I wasn't in because I went in and out of the FGC
That's so weird. Year. You said that you didn't stay in for MKX, right?
No, I didn't stay in for Injustice. Oh, so okay. I've been in for MK9. I've been in for MKX. I was in for Injustice 2, and then I started taking like the actual competitive scene serious, started playing like players that are competitive in MK11. So I've been in the scene, but I haven't really I've played in ranked and watched people play, but I wasn't like, okay, I'm grinding this game, I'm getting good. Like I wasn't like that. So but with that said, like Sonic, I hadn't seen Sonic until after Injustice, so MKX was when I first started seeing the debut. But Injustice, I'd never seen Sonic play Injustice, and apparently, like Batwoman was a problem in that game.
Yeah. So I think there's been a lot of debate if Batwoman or Batgirl was the best character, or if just Sonic played her. Like it's one of those type of things because I'm pretty sure like Superman and like there's a couple players that was playing like Sonic. There's a couple characters that were I think just as good as Batgirl, but just when Sonic plays a character,
it's impossible. Yeah,
it's
possible to do.
It's that type of player. So if you've been playing mostly NRS, let's get on to MK11 a little bit here and the state of MK11. You and I kind of have been talking about this the last couple days, like when we're in chat and stuff, but MK11's coming back to EVO, which is kind of a big deal, at least for me. I'm very happy to come back because the variation system, or the Combat League, it's going to be an offline event where we actually have that now. So it changes like the range of what's going to be seen at Evo this year. Do you think it's just going to be like 8 Cetrions in top 8, or are we going to?
So here's the deal. Here's the deal about MK11 competitively, and I'm sorry this is going to take a little bit, but
yeah, do you think? I want to hear it all.
So the thing about MK11 competitively is the reason why we see Jackie more than any other character is because Jackie. Okay, so I got to make sure I say this right because people are going to interpret that I'm saying Jackie's easy to play, and they're going to tell me that I need to play the character because like I don't know what I'm talking about. So I got to make sure I say it right. So yeah. Jackie, the core way Jackie is supposed to play as a character is easy. So what I mean by that is we've had characters like Cyrax. This has been mentioned all the time by all the OGs. Like Tom Brady has said this. Who else has said this? Foxy has said this, I think. I could be wrong. Sorry, Foxy. But like, so characters that used to have crazy offense and crazy damage, similar to Jackie, like Cyrax, what's another character from MKX that was really good? I guess you could argue Liu Kang. Like those characters, they had strong offense, and their offense was so strong that when they were in, you were dead. Like it was like there was too many risks, you know, because in those older games, like they have stuff like overhead lows and command grabs that you can't react to. So like characters like Cyrax, when they were finally on you in MK9, they were doing 90% combos and you were gonna die. Like it was just like if you had no breaker, you were dead. Mm-hmm. The thing about Jackie is Jackie makes it to where you don't have to worry about that anymore because she has a full screen leap that makes you guess when she's on the screen. So like in previous games, you could zone out those characters, right? You could zone out a Cyrax. Even though Cyrax was doing 90% combos, you could zone them out with a character like Kenshi. Like same thing with Liu Kang. You could keep Liu Kang out depending on, you know, with like Tanya. You could teleport across the screen away from him like 24/7. Like he wasn't touching you, right? So the issue with Jackie is that the reason why we see more Jackies is because of that. She can get in on you very, very quickly, and you have to hold her pressure. You don't have an option. And then on top of that, the game has a strong wake-up system, right? Where you can wake up 3, wake up roll. You can do all these things to prevent people from touching you, which makes it harder to meaty. It makes it harder to do Oki in the game. But Jackie circumvents all that. Her shrapnel prevents you from being able to do wake up roll, wake up 3, wake up 2. You have to block her when she knocks you down. So Jackie is the perfect epitome of a rush down head, like a rush down meathead, because she can get in on you. You can't zone her out. Once she gets in on you, you're guessing -2 staggers, so you're not pressing unless you want to die. Mm-hmm. And then when you take the throw or when you get knocked down, you're guessing again because you can't wake up on her, but she can wake up on you. And then on top of that, what was I gonna say? Well, she's got like things like, you know, DOT, so like literally you can't just sit there and then like, yeah, you're gonna take the throw, but then she can leap at you again. So like she has all these things to prevent you from getting her away from you, and then she's good at the thing that allows her to be next to you. So she's good at pressure, and you can't get her away from you. So that's why Jackie is seen. We see Cetrion. We do see her. But the problem with Cetrion, well, there's 2 problems with Cetrion. The first problem with Cetrion is she doesn't do enough damage. So, you know, even though she's like resetting neutral and she's able to walk back and do whatever the hell she wants, she's not doing enough damage. And then on top of that, Jackie's guaranteed damage is like 30%. By the time you can break her damage, she's doing 30% to you. So by the time you break away, you wasted your meter. You already took the 30%. Like, what's the point of breaking? So Jackie gets more guaranteed damage, and she does more damage than Cetrion. And that's why we see more Jackies than we see Cetrions. So in my opinion, I do think we're going to see a lot of Jackies. Mm-hmm. And with that said, I do think that Jackie has a lot of characters that can deal with her well, but she's still the best character in the game. Like, she's like by a mile. She's like way above, in my opinion, I think she's way above. I think she's above Cetrion. I think she's above.
From every tier list that I've seen, it's like the same 5. It's like
Yeah,
Cetrion,
that's
Jackie,
consistent.
Joker, Fujin, and I can't, but I see those 4 everywhere. I
Yeah,
feel
and
like
Cabal, probably Cabal.
it might be Cabal. I
Cabal's
think
more
I want to
recent.
say that Terminator's up there too. I could be wrong about that, but like I know those 4 are always up there. And there's been complaints. Me being like the overall fighting game guy. I've heard a lot of complaints about MK11. I loved MK11 for the story. I struggled playing the gameplay because it wasn't Injustice 2 combos. I wanted my Injustice 2 strings, and they didn't really give it to me in MK11. That's what kind of threw me off. And I made the comment to you before. I would have kept playing MK11 if a certain thing happened, and it didn't. But do you feel like is it the zoning is a big of an issue in MK11 as people think it is?
I don't.
Okay.
So the reason why so there's 2 big reasons. So the first big reason is we don't see zoners topping outside of Cetrion, and the thing about Cetrion is she's not really zoning. What she's doing is so the reason she's allowed to continue throwing projectiles at you is because of tornado and teleport.
Mm-hmm.
So Cetrion has a teleport that recovers instantly. Like it's really, really quick. Like very rarely will you be able to punish it. So what happens is when Cetrion is zoning you, characters like Katana, Jade,
I'm a Jade main.
Raiden, yeah, they all have really good answers. Katana's straight fan toss straight up stops Cetrion from zoning her.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why Cetrion can zone her is because she has a teleport that punishes you for like, 15, 20%, and then she goes back to zoning. So the issue isn't the zoning. The issue is because you could zone Cetrion back. The issue is when you finally do try to zone her, she teleports behind you and punishes you for 15%.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes her zoning annoying. The other thing is the game actually gives you a lot of options with to zoning now. A lot of the characters have anti-zoning tools like teleports. They have parries to parry zoning projectiles. They also have the flawless block option. So if you flawless block a projectile, you take like literally no chip. Like it's like I'm talking like less than 0.5% of chip. It's really, really low. So there's a lot of options with zoning. I think the reason why people aren't used to MK having crazy zoning is because MKX had a run button.
Yeah.
Because MK9 had the same type of zoning. The only difference was with MK9, when you got zoned, you weren't flawless blocking anything. Like you had to duck. And some characters had either mid projectiles or they had projectiles that they could throw it so low to the ground they can insta air it to where like you had to duck it, or you would get hit. So I think at this point, like in my personal opinion, I know I'm a zoner and I could sound very biased, but the thing is, I don't know how to put it, like as a player, I want everyone to be able to do everything they want to do, and I think if you nerf zoning anymore,
Yeah.
you're not gonna see zoning anymore. Like because
Yeah.
the only character that's topping right now that zones at all is Cetrion. Well, and you could argue Fujin, but it's not really zoning. He's more like checking you for moving.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of where I'm at with it because I don't want Jackie. I don't want a character that can leap at you from full screen and you have no options. Like you can't zone her out. You can't play the spacing game with her. You can't do anything. I don't want that. But on the other hand, I don't want Injustice 2 or MK9 where like some characters literally have no options to projectiles. Like they have to like walk up duck, walk up block, right?
Yeah.
So that's why like I feel like MK11 has a really good solution. I think that being able to flawless block projectiles on your way in, having a lot of anti-zoning tools in your game that allows you to get in very quickly and continue your pressure, I think is fair. So then the zoner has to think about throwing a projectile. And yeah, I guess that's it. Like I think there's a lot of good solutions to zoning. I just think Cetrion or the concept of Cetrion needs to go.
Do
If a
you?
zoner gets got on,
Yeah.
sorry.
Are you just so what you're saying? At least for Cetrion, is she has too many options. Is what you think for her? Because it's
Yeah,
not.
100%. Yeah. If you take her teleport away and you take her tornado away, even if she had rock wall, you can flawless block rock wall. So if she does rock wall and you flawless block it, she gets punished.
Mm,
So you just have to make the read, and if you make the read, she'll get punished. The issue is tornado resets neutral. So like if you throw out tornado, Citron can just move around.
yeah.
She literally, what she does is she'll throw a string out. The string will go into tornado. It'll push you too far away, and then she can go back to zoning. So
What
if you remove that string, when she does a string, she'll be minus, and it'll be your turn. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, one of the biggest issues I think NetherRealm had, and a great example is Starfire in Injustice 2. A lot of characters had zoning tools that just helped them continue to zone. Deadshot's another one. There's too many moves there that some of these zoning characters had that when you were hitting them and you were blocking, it would push you to the other side of the screen, right? Like,
Yeah.
and then you just like, oh well, I can continue to zone now because you're completely on the other side of the stage. There was just NetherRealms has done a pretty bad job giving the good zoners too good of zoning tools. Because
Yeah.
I can name it like two other examples in Injustice 2 right now of characters that were just overpowered simply because they were zoners. And if you did want to play like, what's your main again? Who do you main?
I mean multiple. I made multiple characters.
I know you said that you played Liu Kang a little bit. I vaguely remember that. But like I'm just trying to like I watched a video today of Perfect Legend or no excuse me Ninja Killa just spamming with Liu Kang and the person couldn't do anything. The opponent literally couldn't do anything the entire time by how quick he was like spamming the fireball. Like I'm not saying to get rid of all of zoning for NRS, but like I want to say like find a balance because they clearly haven't figured out that they go a little bit too far for zoners and they don't make it fair because there's certain characters that just have zero tools getting in, right? And when you have zero tools getting in against a zoner, like it's just not fun for you anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's just, and like you said, I want everyone to have fun. I want everyone to have their abilities as well, but like I guess the balancing hasn't been the best, and NetherRealm has been very quiet and hasn't addressed that there have been any issues either. It's something they're pretty rough with. What do you think is a couple things that would be able to fix if you could like fix a couple things right now for MK11 to like bring it in? Because a lot of people also talk about how MK11 is a little bit slow. Like what are some things that you think would help MK11? If you're now Ed Boon. You are in charge of MK11.20 or whatever.
Well,
what would you do?
See that's the so oops, did it? Hold on. Okay, there we go. We're back. Okay. So that's the kind of issue. I actually don't have that many problems with MK11. They're mostly just the top 5 issues. I don't mind giving characters more options. I've heard that a lot. You know,
you'd
like
rather
maybe
buff the rest of the cast than nerf the top 5, is what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I would say. I mean, I don't mind. Like, I don't think Cetrion should have a tornado that resets neutral, and she can do any string. And then because like when you use a string that resets neutral, you get a second turn. You know, because basically you were able to scout for a whiff punish, scout for them pressing buttons. And then when you end your string, they're too far away and they can't pressure you anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So like I don't mind like nerfing that for Cetrion or making it maybe cost some, you know, attack meter or something. But the thing about MK11 is I know this is gonna sound bad, and I'm sorry guys. I'm really, really sorry because I've come to realize this now. MK11 is actually a pretty solid fighting game. It's just not the game people want. Another good example for that is like Street Fighter 5. Like I feel like a lot of people don't like Street Fighter 5, especially like the fans of Street Fighter. But from my experience of playing the game so far, I actually really like the core mechanics of how Street Fighter 5 is designed. Maybe not V-Trigger so much, but the actual game itself, I actually like the slower paced, more streamlined gameplay. Like, you know, not crazy on combos, more focused on neutral, with punishing, baiting out buttons, you know, punishing fireballs by jumping, stuff like that. and that's how I felt with MK11. I feel like the NRS community is in a, they're in like a, sorry, like they're in like a conundrum. There you go, conundrum. Um, some people want a game like MKX, right? They want a game where crazy combos, you can get in, you know, there's less slow play. It's more focused on like, you know, pressure and like the type of mix-ups and stuff you can do. And like it's less streamlined, like there's more options, you know, there's more Oki, you know, stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And MK11 is just not that game. It's not, it's much slower paced, it's more Street Fighter-esque. There's less combo routes. What's another one? Like there's more zoning, there's more keep away, but at the same time there's also more like characters that can like reset neutral off of a touch, so like they're not in your face 24/7. Like there's just a lot of slower paceness to MK11.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people don't like that. I know a lot of people don't like. I've heard like, I don't want to misquote him, but I think T Grass kind of said the same thing. He just finds MK11 boring, and I would just say like it's just a different game. Like it's just, that's the type of game I like. I like the more slower, streamlined, like focus on player versus player.
Yeah.
Less on mix ups and less on like player expression through combos, but more on player expression through neutral.
Yeah.
Um,
I've been dealing with the same complaints. Like people shat on Injustice for years. I'm like a hardcore Injustice player. I played all last weekend, and like
Yeah.
I know like I still get crapped on for liking that game, but I loved it. I loved it. I people can hate on me as much as they want, but I love that game. And while you're struggling to find the game that you love because all your games have horrible netcode, I have a game that's great, and I don't have to worry about lag.
Yeah.
Just being honest.
I mean, it's one of those things like, at the end of the day, I'm not Ed Boon, and as much as I want MK11, I want a game kind of like I know it sounds, there's so many people who are going to get upset when I say this right now, but I've just got to say, like, I want a game that's kind of like MK11, but really makes the cast more interesting. But that doesn't mean like this dude has like this crazy broken move that like, you know, defines the game and makes the game more interesting that way. Like I want characters to have more options, like whether that be like it could be something as simple as like every single move, like custom move, is one slot.
Yeah. Do you want something more? Do you want essentially just like Street Fighter, but with the Mortal Kombat cast?
Well, see, that's what makes MK different, because MK is not like Street Fighter. It has some similarities, but because like for example, like a good example is MK actually moves faster than Street Fighter because dashes can be canceled into normals.
Yeah.
That's not a thing in Street Fighter. And Street Fighter becomes more slow just because of that. So like MK is technically still faster, but it has a lot of Street Fighter similarities, I guess. If that makes any sense.
I think that was the biggest thing that I probably complained about it, because if I was gonna like, I didn't want I liked MKX a lot, so like, I was kind of like hoping it would be very similar to that, and it felt more Street Fighter-esque. I definitely felt that when I was playing.
Yeah, the vibe.
And I was like, I didn't hate it. I don't hate MK11. It definitely, I don't want to say it disappointed me either. It just wasn't what I wanted it to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, it wasn't exactly what I was expecting. I like hope they find a middle ground between like MKX and MK11 with whatever they're working on for the next Mortal Kombat game. I would prefer that, but overall, I don't think MK11's bad. I think that the people saying it's bad, if it's people find it boring, that's fine. Everyone's allowed their opinion, but like you clearly have put tons of hours into it, so you wouldn't have done that unless you loved the game. Unless you hate Mortal Kombat 11 and you're lying to me right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely for me, it was definitely like a learning curve, because like things like being punished by breakaway, being punished by wake up attacks, you know, because like you can literally get full combo punished in that game for trying to meaty. So it was a learning experience. But the thing that I learned was Like it really was a player issue more than anything. Like me not adapting to. I'm not saying that happened to you or anything. I'm just saying like from my experience, like it was like, okay, you know, I can't meaty in this game. If I meaty in this game with a string, I'm getting killed. Like I can't do that. Like, or it's like, you know, oh, this combo, if I do this combo and they break away, I'm gonna get punished. So it's kind of like, even though those aren't intentional designs of the game, like learning how to adapt to the meta was something that I learned. Like I really enjoyed learning, I guess. It was rough at first. It was really, really rough. Like there were a lot of complaints, and there's still complaints that I think need to be fixed. Like you shouldn't get comboed for them breaking, but that doesn't matter. The whole point that I'm making is that like I learned a lot playing that game, and what I did learn over time was that when it's the only game that I played that if you learn the meta, you can get good with pretty much any character. Like there's probably maybe one or two characters that will really struggle, but for the most part the game is very well balanced. Even when it comes to the top 5, like you have options. The thing about other MK games is you didn't have options. Like there were situations where you're just like, you better hold RT, bro, and if you hold RT you're still gonna die, you know. But in this game, this is the first fighting game that I've played where holding RT doesn't kill you. So like you get rewarded for blocking, you get rewarded for being more defensive, you get rewarded for having more methodical ways to get out of pressure. And that's something that I just really like about MK11. I think that it's kind of weird because like I agree with you. I think that like the best solution is a middle ground, because there are issues of MK11 that I think that MKX solved. Which is, a lot of people are gonna look at me weird because they know I don't like MKX, but yeah, like I think MKX solved a lot of some of the issues that I have with the game. So I think that they can find a middle ground. But what I do want to say is that if the next game is MKX 2.0, I'm not gonna get upset with that because that's what the fans asked for. You know, I would prefer it not to be MKX 2.0. I prefer it to be something kind of like MKX, MK11. You know,
somewhere maybe in the middle.
Yeah, I would prefer that, or just something like, or like maybe, I don't know. Yeah,
if we're even getting a Mortal Kombat next, which no one knows what's happening with NetherRealm Studios. They've been radio silent for a year.
I mean, I don't blame them. I really think people didn't like the game. I really think a lot of people didn't like MK11,
and they didn't selling fighting game. It sold so well. I'm so sick of that argument. MK11 sold through the roof. It wasn't a bad game if it sold that many. I'm sorry. Like the people that you're hearing that from are FGC people.
Yeah, they're competitive. Yeah.
You got to remember, like, that's something that I had to stomach too, because it was only people that were not FGC loved Injustice 2. Loved it. It was one of their favorite fighting games. People in the FGC hated it with a passion. And you know what? People can, the FGC people can hate me as much as they want. I love my game, just like you love your game. And, you know what? I hope you get MK11.2. That's what I hope for you now. I want you to get MK11.
Well, I mean, I kind of share I do think that there are things from MKX that made the game, like, that would make the game better. I think having a
I just want Goro back. If they just gave me Goro, I probably wouldn't have complained.
I know people are gonna hate me, but I actually like Shiva too. So
there's no reason we can't have both. Just saying.
Yeah,
there's no reason we can't,
I agree.
Have both.
I agree. It'd be cool if they just loaded the game with a bunch of characters. I don't know why they don't do like a Rainbow Six Siege thing where they just release a character every like few months. Well, they just keep the same base game.
Actually, right before we went live, I posted a video on TikTok about what free-to-play model for fighting games, and how I do think it's inevitable. It's going to become the future for quite a few different fighting games. I just don't seeing it being viable for all of them. Because if every single fighting game goes free-to-play, it's just going to be an oversaturated market. I know this sounds like this is going to be a hot take. I almost like wish all the bigger titles like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Smash, maybe Dragon Ball Fighters, I almost wish they stay as the big like mainstream titles that you purchase every single year or every couple years. And then some of these other games who really struggle To like, I think the free to play model may work great for them. Like a great example, Dead or Alive did it. Like I know that's a bad example to be completely honest because it had its own thing, but Virtual Fighters 1, like there's certain games I think may actually prove a better service that way, because like
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest, like if MK11 just kept on giving us new characters, giving us new abilities, new fatalities, new brutalities, to right now, what people would be losing their minds. They'd be so happy for more battle passes. Like if they just announced like you're gonna get 2 new characters every year, we're gonna have a new we maybe more. We have a 5-year plan for development for the game. Like the whole question of how long does a fighting game last now comes into debate now, because like Street Fighter just said we're gonna have this game go for 8 years. They just kept going. They just stopped. They just stopped it, right? So like how like MK11 or NetherRealm Studios has pretty much said this is the game. How long we're doing games now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they've been doing that pretty well for the last like every 2 years they have a new game. They just broke the cycle, and now no one knows what's happening next. How long is this next game going to be? Like, is it the next Mortal Kombat game going to be another 2 years, and then they're going to stop doing things on it? Or they're going to work towards the... Well, no one knows what is in store right now, and, like, is the free-to-play model going to work or not? I'm trying to figure... I'm saying this to you right now. I'm also going to make a video on it tomorrow again. So, but what about you? Do you think... would you enjoy that? Like, if MK11 just said, all right, you're going to get less characters every year, but you're guaranteeing you a certain amount of characters for X amount of years.
Yeah, I mean, my thing has always been gameplay more than anything. So whatever model allows them to constantly patch the game, I think is more important to me, because my biggest issue with MK11, and the reason I think people ended up really not liking it, is because a lot of the base things that could have been changed with a few patches would have been like solved if they just patched the game more. I feel like they've proven that they can do it with MKX and Injustice 2. They just need to do it, and they need to have a balancing team that really, really focuses on this concept of like patching the game to suit most of the audience. If that makes any sense.
My big concern, sorry to cut you off there, but like I call it the King K. Rool effect, because it was really showed with King K. Rool. Was King K. Rool was seen as, or the Little Mac effect, I guess could work too, but was just a tyrant on like the casual online for Super Smash Brothers. King K. Rool was not that hard to deal with. Just no one knew how to deal with him at the casual level, so they nerfed him to the actual ground. The biggest problem is like they need to separate like the competitive and the casual fan base when it comes to how they handle buffs and nerfs. And they never look at the competitive aspect of how characters are. They only look at the casual balance, because those are the people they're actually selling the game to, right? Like they want these casuals to buy all these extra characters and have fun with the game, so they come back and tell their friends about it. Like us, like competitive guys, we pick our character and we ride that character out till we die, right? Like we're not that concerned. We're just going to learn the matchup, and we won't be stressed about it. We don't care if you nerf or buff it. We're going to find the answers for it. Like the casuals are be like, no, get rid of this character. She's too powerful. I don't like Cetrion. Look what they did to Shiva. I'm gonna be honest. That wasn't that hard to deal with. I've dealt with. It's called blocking. It's like people like that very classic clip of the girl crying over the Shiva. Stomp. Like it wasn't that hard to deal with. I'm sorry. That Shiva was the like I remember facing her. She wasn't that much of a deal. I also was playing Jade, so I was able to find answers around it, but like uppercutting and stuff. But
yeah, I mean, my thing is, I mean, I don't know. Like, on one hand, I think it's okay to balance a little bit around casual play, but on the other hand, I do think the reason that jump kicks are still impossible to anti-air in the game is because they didn't listen to the competitive community. I'm pretty sure across the entire competitive community, we've accepted that you cannot anti-air like consistently in the game, which is absurd for a fighting game. Like that is
Right?
absurd. Like it's because it's not like it, like even with KOF, if someone jumps at you and you know the jump is coming, you can DP
Yeah.
or Shatter Strike. You know, like if you know it is coming, if you see the jump, you're looking at it. There's the jump right there. It's coming. I know it's coming. I'm gonna DP. But in MK, it's not like that. In MK,
Yeah.
like a jump kick will stuff you trying to anti-air,
Mhm.
and I feel like that is definitely a not listening to casual community thing or casual competitive
Oh yeah.
community thing. That is 100% like, oh, we want to speed the game up, so let's make jumps impossible to anti-air. So you have to hold jump ins. Like that. That to me is kind of what it sounds like they were trying to do. Like they wanted to make it easier for you to jump in. You know, someone had to guess the jump in, and they just didn't listen to casual. They just
Yeah.
didn't make anti-airs easy to deal with. They didn't want more grounded neutral. You know,
I'm gonna go
so
the length that I think NetherRealm just doesn't listen to the competitive people to begin with. They don't listen to the fan base at all. So
I mean, I
just
wouldn't be
say
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I would just say that like I just NRS. As someone who plays more fighting games now, I just really want you guys to be. You guys are so close to being on like top. Like I'm talking about like
yeah.
juggernaut, like best fighting game of all time. But I feel like when you make the disconnect with the competitive community, it really hurts. It really hurts like a reputation, I guess, if that makes any sense.
No, I 100% get
From my
that.
experience,
Yeah.
and like you're there, like you're so close. Like you guys don't even realize how close you are. You're so close. Like you have good online mode. I can literally join. I could literally play ranked MK11 right now. I'll find matches. Can't do that in SK. Can't do that in KOF. Can't do that in Street Fighter as often. You've got a good practice mode. You have live frame data. That shows you the number. It's not like minus or plus. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like a frame data thing that goes up and down. It's like no, it shows you the actual number on block, on whiff, on knockdown. So you have that. You have frame data in your game with the commands.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have everything. Like it's crazy. You've got a record feature for the dummy, so I can record every situation. That's how I've been able to get better at the game. Like you have everything. You just need to take the balancing much more in depth and serious, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like once you do that, like I promise you, like people will love your game. The casual community will love your game because you have, you know, all these different towers, all these, you know, story mode, like all this good content, you know, things to grind for. The competitive community will love your game because the game is balanced around all the characters. Like it's so close. You guys are so close. I swear. You're almost there.
Good stuff. Well, Ops, we've been going for an hour here. Where can everyone find you? Like, give me your social media plug.
So you can find me. I'm doing mostly YouTube videos right now. I am gonna start TikTok up in probably the next week or so. I did have the move, and I had some life issues recently, so I haven't been able to do TikTok for about a month now. But I will be starting up again. So you can find me on TikTok or YouTube. Those are probably the best places to find me. I will be grinding on Twitch for Evo, but that's more casual. So yeah, find me on YouTube or TikTok. Those would be your best options.
Good stuff. All right, so how I usually always end this is I ask very simply, what does the FGC mean to you?
I would say that it's for me it goes further than just a community. For me it's a philosophy almost, because I feel like a lot of the things that I've learned as a player are ego checks. They're ways to understand how I want to live my life, like not just playing fighting games, but like live my life, like, you know, not judge players for how they play, understand how things work, be more spontaneous or have more spontaneity. I think it's the right word. So the FGC means to me everything. Like really, it just like the way to live life, you know, the way to understand just how to move about life, really. Like whether it be, being spontaneous, not judging others. What's the other one that I said? Yeah, yeah. I think those are the only ones I can think of right now.
Good stuff. Ops, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a great conversation.
Awesome, man. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Sorry we couldn't get to everything.
No, dude. I kind of was hoping you would do that because I know you're my. If I ever have a question about MK11, I'm just gonna contact you. So don't forget to follow OpSoldier on all social media platforms that he mentioned. For those who don't know, I stream on Twitch every Sunday and Tuesday. Come and hang out. I also have an FGC TikTok account you totally should be following. If you enjoyed the video today, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. My name is Phil, and of course, I'll talk to you guys soon.